Swedish artists and producers are absolutely dominant on the global pop charts. And a large part of the story of Sweden's dominance can be told through Eurovision.
So today we're asking what makes those Swedish Eurovision winners so special. We're going to examine all of this in a game that we're calling Victory is Oh So Swede with Deborah Ann Woll.
Ha 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 ha. I always enjoy a good pun.
I know you do. I crafted that for you.
Aw, I appreciate it.
And you know I love a good pun.
Well, that's true. Deb, cover your ears. I crafted that for you.
Great.
We already have a love triangle. Magnus and I will compete for the love of China.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's all I've ever
reality
wanted.
show.
Before we jump into this conversation, we should probably introduce our guest.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. You probably know Deborah from her role as Jessica Hamby on True Blood, her role as Karen Page on Daredevil, The Defenders, and The Punisher. Or you may have seen her in her Helen Hayes-nominated performance as Harper in Tony Kushner's Angels in America,
Oh, you guys.
Millennium Approaches. Deb, welcome.
Thank you.
Did we say
Mentioned
stunning?
My play. It's so nice. No one ever mentions my play in my...
I know, it is always striking when someone remembers theater.
We need our first sponsor to be Tums.
Yeah.
Because it would just naturally... Charlie would just go, excuse me, but I'll be fine now because of Tums.
I think they should integrate ads into podcasts more.
That's what's ruining television so
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
Integrated ads.
I find it kind of fun.
Well, as the person who often is relegated to the task of doing the integrated ad,
Oh, no. You have to do the,
I did all this research and it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have my Dell laptop. But look what I found. It'll solve the case.
I have to say, Deb has a unique talent for saying the unsayable because I believe your first guest star, you were playing a character who, in the final scene, you confront your abuser and you attempt to shoot him.
Yes.
And your line when you had a gun out pointed at the man was, "You have to die."
Yes.
If you're watching a show and someone pulls out a gun and they aim it at a person, you kind of can fill in that blank, like that subtext. So your big challenge was to figure out why a person would say that.
Why would you double down after the very clear action?
It was because you have to die at the fate of this Smith & Wesson.
Exactly. Totally.
20% off.
Self-cleaning. Yes, 20% off it.
Wow. Shooting that man was so stressful. Thank God I have Tums. So Deb is clearly an amazing actress, and we are very thankful to have her on this podcast for that. But I think we timed this pretty well because we are catching Deb just as she has been steeped in Nordic mythology.
Yes.
So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Well, sure. I know very, very little about modern Sweden and modern Swedish culture, but...
I didn't tell you. This is 19th century Eurovision that we're covering.
Fantastic. There's a fantastic book of monsters called Väsen, illustrated and written by Johan Egerkrans. And it is basically an accounting of this Scandinavian mythology, which is fascinating for North Americans because while it bears some similar themes, the creatures themselves are very new and specifically, uniquely different. My writing partner and I have the rights to the Book of Monsters from Johan.
That book, Väsen, was the inspiration for ABBA's Waterloo.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. No, but it is interesting when you were talking about what was so fascinating to you about engaging with this mythology that feels like in one way familiar to Americanized fairy tales, but in one way completely different. And everything you said is entirely my relationship to Eurovision.
I have never done Ancestry.com, so I only have this anecdotally through a family tree, but I have Scandinavian heritage through Scotland.
Deb, we're now considering you an expert on Scandinavian pop music. Shall we?
So, yes.
Okay.
So this is how the game's going to work. The competition in Sweden to get to Eurovision is called Melodifestivalen. And we're going to play you clips from Melodifestivalen. Either that performance went on to go to Eurovision and win the whole competition, or they didn't win their national finals, so it didn't go to Eurovision at all.
We're playing this game essentially to explore what the difference is between these songs that Sweden sent to Eurovision and the ones that didn't make it. And hopefully through that, we can have a bit of a broader conversation about what makes the Swedish Eurovision winners so special.
Okay.
And therefore, what is the secret to Sweden's global pop dominance?
Sure.
You can think of like a national final like Melodifestivalen as like an American Idol style competition, except everybody's bringing an original song.
Sweden actually have an international jury to make sure that they can increase their chances of international success.
So the idea is like, we're not just trying to send like Swedish culture,
Right.
we're trying to win this thing.
Right.
And there is nothing
Strategic.
Swedes care about more than this
Okay.
competition.
No.
This is like
That and
their
healthcare. Those are the two. When they instituted televoting in Melodifestivalen in 93, so many people voted that the Swedish telephone network went down.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was probably really fun for everybody who
Yeah.
needed an ambulance. But,
Yeah.
oh my God, healthcare and
Oh my God, it all
Melodifestivalen
comes-
in conflict.
Oh.
But when they had to choose, they chose Melodifestivalen.
Chose pop.
And this is where we get to the clips. We're going to go
Okay.
to 2008. This is Sanna Nilsson with Empty Room.
Empty room, empty heart. Since you've been gone, I must move on.
Oh, I like they've got all the phone, the lights going. What year is this?
2008.
She got big and she's brought it back in. Very impressive. So she's fantastic. My gut is she didn't go on, but part of me does want to wonder context because she's like a powerhouse female singer. And I'm curious if at this time, and you said 2008?
Yes.
I'm not a pop music person. I don't have a cultural understanding of what the world was into at that time.
So I think what
Yeah.
might take a little bit of
Yeah.
the pressure off contemporary pop charts, right? They're very youth driven. Eurovision, and I think therefore Melodifestivalen, it's billed as a family show.
Okay.
Grandma's voting too.
There are people who might grow up with like a Whitney Houston,
Yes.
which this feels similar to.
Right,
Or,
right.
but there's also things in here that sound a little bit like American country, which is always very popular.
Right.
Do I think this would be the type of number that would like sail above the rest? For me personally, she's very talented, but the song itself feels like it doesn't necessarily rise to the top.
Yeah.
Well, you're 100% correct.
Okay.
It did
Nailed
not
it.
make it to Eurovision.
So next, we have a little band you may have heard of called ABBA.
Mm-hmm.
This song is Ring Ring and was in Melodifestivalen in 1973.
Yes, I'm down and feeling blue, and I don't know what to do. Oh, ring, ring, why don't you give me a call? Ring,
So I love the outfit.
be some
That they have like cats on their shirt is so great. Yeah, it's so tight. I love the hair. It's all Farrah Fawcett's like
Oh my God, yes.
blow,
the way they are
blowout.
styled.
So my gut is yes, that this went on. I cheated because I think you told me it was 50 years for since that win. And if this is 73, then that makes sense that I should be the one. So I'm cheating a little bit. But one thing that is interesting me, it has that quality to it, whereas the first one felt a little more sort of generically pop as opposed to like Swedish pop,
Yeah,
maybe.
although, Deb, and this
Yeah?
is going to be a little bit of a twist.
Oh.
You're incorrect.
I'm incorrect. Okay,
Yeah.
so because I thought so maybe that the festival was in 73, which would make Eurovision 74.
Came back in 74.
74 competed in
Oh.
Melodifestivalen.
I
Waterloo.
see. So it's not like the Oscars
Yeah.
where the movies in 73 are nominated in 74.
Right,
Got
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I cheated incorrectly.
yeah.
It just goes to show you, kids. Don't
So
cheat.
for-
But I still think it shows the strength of them as
Yes.
a group.
Well,
That you
this
see that
song-
performance and you're like, they're stars.
Yes.
Like that didn't launch them to the world, but it did
Yeah.
launch them to Sweden because
Yeah.
that sound was brand new
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
I do think that there is something in talking about the contrast between Ring Ring, but definitely Waterloo, and Empty Room, right? Empty Room feels a little throwbacky, and there is something about the innovation of some of these numbers.
ABBA normally wrote their songs in both languages. Even Chess, they wrote Chess in Swedish as well. It's one of the
Right.
few times where a musical has
Yeah.
two languages where it's not translated.
Yeah.
It's like the writers
It's like the
actually
Two
writers
separate,
actually- yeah.
There's a comfortability too that they have on stage.
Yes.
That's the difference between that and a lot of episodes of an American Idol. There's that little bit of this is someone who was
Right.
plucked out of their home because they're really talented, but has not really had a lot of experience on stage. And you look at ABBA and they're just like, we're here.
John Legend is not going to come and perform in a singing competition.
Right.
There's a chance
Where
that he's
he
going to
will
lose.
lose.
Yeah. But what I've sort of learned is the nation's like biggest stars are like coming to compete.
Well, because in many ways, I think a lot of them treat them like people do charts here. Like
Right.
having a number 3 is not embarrassing.
Sure.
I mean, you look at the global success of ABBA, but they still didn't get it on their first try.
Oh my God. This is totally, when you have a kid, going to be the story you tell.
Even
ABBA
ABBA.
didn't get Eurovision on their first try.
Try again.
Yeah.
Just like ABBA.
Talk about cultural mythology.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Tying
Rewrite
it
the show
down.
right now.
There were 4 Swedish singers
What-
once upon a time, and they took the stage with a wonderful song called Ring Ring.
I have to say, all I'm thinking of now is imagining sitting down to watch Vaesen when it airs, and the whole thing is just randomly scored exclusively with ABBA songs.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, perfect. Well, we are moving to 1999.
Okay.
And this is Charlotte Nilsson with 1001 natt.
Utanför så är det mörkt nu. När det ljusnar vill jag vara i din närhet. Jag vill vakna upp med dig och känna att du älskar mig. Finns din
Oh yeah, 99. Look at this. Oh wow, full band. And they're in tuxes. Okay. Oh, this is trickier. Very celebratory, which feels winning. It even sounds sort of vaguely familiar. It doesn't feel as new or revelatory. Again, coming right after ABBA.
It's definitely not inspired by ABBA.
Sure. It has that sort of takeoff from it. I might say it goes on.
You're 100% correct.
Okay.
It won the whole thing.
And it won the whole thing. There you go.
Eurovision has had extended periods of time where the rule was that each country had to participate in a language that is an official language of the country.
Okay, gotcha.
There was a few years gap, which is when ABBA won with Waterloo.
Okay.
Every time they institute the language rule, like the UK and Ireland win everything because like
Right.
more people know English.
Yeah.
1999 was the first year after the long reign of the language rule that it was lifted. So 1001 natt became Take Me to Your Heaven.
Okay.
Take me to your heaven. Hold on to a dream. Take me to your heaven. When my nights are cold and long.
So our next number is by Måns Zelmerlöw. It is called Hope and Glory. This is 2009.
Don't stop. I'm still standing for hope and glory. I'll be fighting for my love story. I'm still standing for hope and glory now.
Oh boy, look at this like stage production. Crane shot, great dancing, really tight production. And I want to say it goes through and wins.
So that is incorrect.
Okay.
But Måns came back 6 years later
Uh-huh.
and won the entirety of Eurovision
Okay.
with the song Heroes. His innovation seems to really come from stage production.
Yeah, I mean it's wildly visual. It's interesting seeing each of these people, and there are certain things that are their particular strength.
Yeah.
That
Right.
sort of makes you go, oh, that's why they're special. All of us can do many wonderful things, but we know the thing that we do exceptionally well. So just after, watching some of the previous performers have this range, he may be perfectly, incredibly capable of that. But here, what we see that is so special is that production value.
I actually have nothing to add to that. That's incredible.
18 years earlier in 1991,
Oh, okay.
we have Carola with Fångat av en stormvind. The title translates to Caught in a Windstorm, but it's using weather as an image of feelings. So
Oh, I
she's
already
caught
like
in the
that.
storm wind with this person.
När du ler och räcker mig din hand. Jag är fångad av en stormvind, fångad av en stormvind. Ingenting kan hindra dig.
I already really love this. Oh my God. Male backup dancers, please. I like there's the wind in her hair to go with the theme. She's given it her all. It's effortless, her vocals. She's dancing. It's celebratory. Oh, yeah. Maybe I just like the 80s. She can belt. That's a win for me.
You are 100% correct.
Yay! Way to go.
Not just that, she has represented Sweden in Eurovision 3 times.
Yeah. Great.
First time getting a 3rd place. This one won the whole thing.
Mhm.
And then a 5th place as
Mhm,
well.
mhm.
It's what I find so wild about that performance is, first of all, I don't think I've seen anyone have more energy ever
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
life. And the amount of dancing she does, and it
Yes.
does not affect her vocals
At all. It's that ease of singing, right?
She's
It's
like
just
doing
present.
jumping jacks
Yeah.
essentially. And you're
Well,
like,
because that was the 80s. It was aerobics, everything,
Right.
right?
Although I was watching it and I was like, I mean, it's brilliant because she can do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, this choreographer should be fired. Like, this is like such a cruel thing to do. You're like, sing
But
this big song
It
and
didn't
be like,
bother her at
yeah,
all.
she was like
She's just
nothing.
like,
It was
sure,
like,
no problem. Yeah, it's not at all in her voice. And I'm all for feeling and expression when you're
Yeah, yeah,
singing, but strain is a different story. And she's just like, this is what I do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
sing.
Yeah.
Incredible dancing, not quite those production value necessarily, but it's okay because it's that balance of
Yeah.
like,
right. Pre 1999, there's some limit to the production value because they have
Of
live
course.
orchestra.
of course.
Then they get rid of the live orchestra, and that's when staging really becomes a thing.
You
'Cause, like,
have moving crane shots and
Yeah.
lights that can do
yeah, 'cause
anything
the
you want them
violinist
to,
doesn't
and
like
a
when
TV
the crane comes in
screen.
front of them.
Yeah.
But
So let's see if this next number
I mean, you
lives
did
up.
say you like the 80s.
I do,
So,
yeah.
Yes.
Apparently.
So we are going to 1984. The song is called Diggy Loo Diggy Lay.
Ooh,
Not Swedish.
okay. cool.
Just
not English.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
But the song is
Tooraloo
primarily in
Raloora.
Swedish. You will notice they have some golden shoes, and those are
Oh.
important to the storytelling of the song
okay.
because basically the lyric is Diggy Loo Diggy Lay. Everyone's looking at me. Here I'm walking in my golden shoes.
That sort of tropical palm in the front. It's adorable. Oh my God, the little leg cross. Yeah. And the big band. Woo. Okay. I think it's really fun. I would listen to this song. I don't think it went through.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
It won the whole
It
thing.
did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
the
this
80s
is the,
were wild.
Very wild.
Yeah. But I think also, you know, a little bit what we talked about, the newness
Uh-huh,
earlier, is
uh-huh.
that there's a certain part of that aesthetic that in a different packaging that we are used to now.
Uh-huh.
This
Sure.
is before any of the American boy band.
You know, the gods of Eurovision will probably strike me down for this, but there is something similar to the sort of ABBA thing
Uh-huh.
of just like watching this group come on stage
Uh-huh,
and be like, what is that?
I think that something society keeps rediscovering over and over again is that people do really like men in synchronized dances.
Because
Phases.
it works against their heterosexuality.
Maybe.
You know, you think as recently as One Direction, right? Their thing was we don't dance because the ways, you know, not like gay sexuality wise, but kind of like cheesy, campy, something
Mhm.
not quite man about them.
You're also talking about historically anything that young women like is considered cheesy and bad.
But that
Culture
even
will
when
say that
marketing the
it's-
next thing to 13
Yeah.
to 15-year-old girls, you have to be like, we're putting that aside.
Well, I think also there's a difference in different cultures and generations as you go by, because you look back at Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. There were
Yes.
whole periods of dance, Jerome Robbins, where dance wasn't necessarily sexualizing you one way or the other. It was a
Right.
common practice for all genders at the time. So it didn't necessarily, if you danced, you weren't necessarily branded as any one thing, but that shifted certainly.
Yeah, and this is what happens in like, countries that have homophobic laws,
Yeah.
right? It's like you're almost not aware of gay people, so therefore heterosexual men can actually be a little bit more expansive in their
Right.
presentation.
So now we're moving to 2011,
Okay.
and you're going to watch Loreen with the song My Heart is Refusing Me, which in English means my heart is refusing me.
I wanna leave, but I'm lost. So now I can't break away. And although I'm made up my mind, my heart is refusing me.
Whoa, light change. Ooh, very powerful voice. And again, male dancers. Very cool change. And these dancers are great. She's a lot of presence. Really draws you in. I would televote. So yeah, I love it. I think she would go on and win.
I love this idea of the game people play where they say, I would, like sleep with someone.
I'd hit it, yeah.
Yeah, I'd hit it. I would.
Yeah.
But I love
I would
this.
hit that text message.
Yeah.
But I love this idea of like, I would televote.
Yeah.
I would tell
Oh my God.
That's
That's what
a-
I'm going to say when I want to sleep with someone. Clearly, I don't know how to swipe. So televoting is about the best thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. There's pretty flawless performance. It feels like a single. It feels like something I'd see on any big stage at a concert. Yeah.
Now, I personally agree with you.
Okay.
But this is
Sweden
the
did not agree with me.
Here's the thing that's outrageous about
Yeah.
this. Not only did it not make it to Eurovision, it didn't even make it to the national final.
Huh?
This
This is like one of the least confusing ones for me.
We are going to stay with the same artist.
Okay.
This is a year later. Again,
Oh,
Loreen.
her redemption.
Maybe. This song is called Euphoria.
Everything's a lot of love comes first. Forever and ever together, sing to infinity. We higher and higher and higher. We reach for divinity.
She's working a wind machine. She's learned from Corolla. Oh, is there snow? So much hair. And it's a very daring look, but it's also like half the time you can't see her face, but it doesn't matter because the power of the vocal,
The
the
vocal.
presence is there. So I'm going to go with Redemption. Yes, she makes it through.
100% correct. Won the whole
Hey,
thing, and that is like
yay.
one of the like iconic wins
Yes.
in Eurovision.
Euphoria was a major smash,
Yeah.
which does not always happen for Eurovision songs, and particularly then didn't happen. So she was a important step in Sweden's story, but she's also a very important step in Eurovision's story because that song,
What was her name again?
Loreen.
Loreen.
Her name is Lorina, but people would end up calling her Lorine because it's Lorine.
Okay.
So she basically Englishified the spelling.
Again, the ultimate Swedish move.
Moving to the last number, we're once again sticking with Loreen.
Oh my goodness.
And we're moving to 2023. This is Tattoo.
Violence playing and the angels crying. When the stars align, then I'll be there. No one care about more.
Already the visual is interesting and weird. Ooh, the nails.
First the hair, then the nails.
Is she in sand?
She is in a panini press, is my understanding.
Well, it looks
No,
like sand. on
There's
the
sand
ground.
in there. It's like a little panini press sandbox.
Oh, that's cool. It like,
Yeah.
cool. We've been talking a lot about these different things like, are you a dancer? Are you a singer? Are you production value? She's got pretty much all of it in pretty good levels,
Yeah.
pretty spectacular levels. We talked about Angels at the beginning of this. Our production of Angels was in sand. So I am
Yes.
very well aware of how difficult it is to perform in sand with the dust up around you, breathing it
Yeah.
in and all of that. So I have particular
I
resonance.
never considered that, but that's true.
Particular resonance with performing in sand on this. I would say she goes through.
And you're 100% right.
Yay.
And she became only the second artist
Yeah.
and the first woman in the contest's history to win the whole thing twice.
Yay!
The winning act, the country that they represent, hosts the next year's
Oh,
Eurovision.
okay.
So the reason that we are back in Sweden for the 50th anniversary is because of Loreen.
Nice.
So Deb, I just wanted to ask, having watched these clips,
Uh-huh.
in thinking about what makes a Swedish Eurovision hit, do you have any takeaways?
The word that kept coming up for me is that celebratory quality of the songs, maybe the exception of Loreen, but there's still
like a dance beat.
there's like an outward
Yeah.
rather
There's like
than
an
inward.
anthemic kind of sense to it.
It's shared rather than sort of
Yes.
pulled in, that feels like maybe a common thread.
Because Magnus pulled these clips. This was not a rigged game. But I think that does track these music producers who, at least in contemporary times, we're talking about like bubblegum pop in the 90s. So the idea that the Sweden songs that really hit have this sort of lightness, this upness, even Loreen, who has a kind of like darkness to her, there's a size and a scope to what she does that kind of does make it fit in that category.
I wish I knew more about pop in general.
Well, I do remember there was one moment in middle school
That's how long we've known each other.
where, yeah, but I very vividly remember it because, and this is why this is very cruel that we're making Deb do this, is like, Deb, not a pop music junkie.
This
to
is
say the least.
my favorite story.
I think it might be
Yeah,
your
I
favorite
love
story.
it. You asked me, do you like M&M's? And I was like, do you mean the candy?
And I said, no, the rapper.
I said, the candy wrapper? Like, I really did not understand what he was trying to say.
Okay, and on that
Anyway,
note,
yes.
Deb, thank you so
Thank
much for
you so
joining
much.
us.
Thank you for
This
having me.
was
That was
really,
fun.
really awesome.
All the mysteries of the Euroverse.